Welcome, everybody, to the NA Ignition Cup Day 2 with Orion Drift. My name's Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm joined by my co-caster, Pallador. Pally, how are we feeling this afternoon? We're back into Orion Drift for our last couple of games of the weekend.
Well, I've got a secret for you, Knight. We've got Secret versus High Voltage and Electric matchup about to start here on the first round of our streams here today. We got done with OCE. We've crowned champions there. We've crowned champions in E. We are now ready to, well, not quite crown champions in NA, but we're getting there. This extravagant 2-weekend event here in North America. Starting with 200 teams, now maybe a little bit less for some reasons, Hunger Games stuff, I guess, but still a ton on the board. It's going to be a fun one, Knight.
Yeah, I think still, even after we've culled out what was maybe 100 teams, it is one of our biggest tournaments we've ever hosted, with 92 teams participating today, and then down to only 8, I believe, for Saturday. So it is going to be a really fun couple of rounds. We got 3 best of 5s ahead of us, so I'm excited. I'm looking forward to some good quality Orion Drift. And now we're getting into the winners brackets, Pallador. So we talked about this yesterday. Now is when things get exciting, right? Now is when these teams really are going to be a little bit more on the competitive side. Maybe teams that we're going to see next weekend in that single elimination bracket.
Absolutely. Starting off here, we have, again, Secret. They have won all of their matches. It looks like 3-0, and likewise for High Voltage, all but one they've won 3-0. The other one was 3-1. But yeah, about to get started here on it. So again, high stakes, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight to start things off. First round, let's go.
Yeah, cracking right on into it. Austin trying to scoop up the ball. We might have gone to a different arena. We apologize there, but we're back. It's okay. As Miami pushes up, tries to juke back and forth out through this defense. You can see a nice defensive spread on the front line there, Pallador. This team coordinated and organized. The pass sequence goes up to the high ground, but it's A-okay because the defense patiently waiting underneath to scoop up that rebound and then push forward for the attack up to the midfield, but it's intercepted and cleared back into the offensive pressure.
And Ninja here with the ball just scoops and slams right into the goal. First one scored.
Was a excellent lock in there. I mean, just slipping past the goalie on the backside as we do see Riptide generating up some momentum with a nice little cross pass to the center, back in for the clear. Pinata VR on the backside looking for the pass up to their teammate on the corner, the cross pass to the center. This is a beautiful passing sequence. Can they finalize it off with the goal? No, the shot goes wide.
And then taken here by Pinata scooting past Miami, as well as DM trying to slip that right past the goalie, but nice grab there, snagging it out and sending it to the midfield. DMRD trying to evade the D of the midfield defenders here. Now the stack coming through. This is one of the things I was interested in seeing develop here. That stack play going for a tackle was the second player trying to enable the shot from the first, but it didn't work out in that case. Back to the mid.
Edge Ninja with a really nice save there. Gotta love to see those defensive clutch plays that end up keeping your team in a series like this one. As Austin pushes in for another shot on goal. There's been a lot of shots on goal by Secret here. They're hunting for their first point, and they are getting awfully close, Pallador, but just no cigar quite yet as this back clear slows things down just a touch.
Yeah, High Voltage that 1 point earlier on, and maybe one about to go in there. That was an incredible attempt at it. You can see the full body movement on that one, the full wingspan, as our Extral will take the ball now, sending it to Pinata. Pinata trying to deal with the defense, sending it back to RX. RX maybe just what the doctor ordered, a prescription score. No, on the passing play here, sent out from cross-check to the bridge. Looks like Riptide and Co will still have another go at this one. Another chance to maybe tie it up here soon. We're still just halfway through this round, plenty of time to go.
Yeah, and there may be an unfortunate disconnect there as you do see Pej Ninja, their goalie, who's had some excellent saves today, frozen in midair. So for now, they got to kind of just play a passive defense. They have the advantage of a 1-0 lead, Pallador. So if they just get ball control, they can kind of keep things in the backfield, keep things in the midfield, not even really go for pressure on that forefront and just tick this clock down until eventually they've got themselves a round 1 W.
Indeed, and now gaining possession back, just a quick swipe right there from Austin. Never seen a kangaroo from Austin, but I have seen a lot of Australians here on stream today, as it will be Riptide now losing the ball there to Miami. Now right back to Austin. Austin swinging with a ceiling carve. Will maneuver high up to that halo off of the bridge and then right back down to that trench area. A big flinger over to cross check on an interception, however. Not sure where that one was going as it bounces right off the arms of RX. Taken over now by DM. DM with a quick slip and slide. The defender's tackling, or attempting to at the very least. That ball is everywhere at the moment, Knight.
Yeah, Ninja's back, so they back to the 4v4. The power play that was in effect for High Voltage, for Secret is gone, and now High Voltage are going to go back on the attack. As soon as they get 4, they feel comfortable to send 3 up to that front line. There's Miami looking for the steal, but all they get is the tackle. Austin Kangaroo scoops up the ball in the back line, passes it forward, and we've seen great passing sequences from this team. Another offensive pressure here, as up to the middle, down to the cross, looking for the shot on goal. Can they find it in? No, they can't. Another denial, Palador.
Yeah, all the way from Miami, in fact, now sending it to the opposite coast. Riptide there, first of the ball. Some great defense being shown there inside the goal after otherwise some nice passing plays. Very unselfish we were seeing there from Secret. Unable to convert, but they will have another attempt now. The defense scrambling to get back in the goal, but overtaking DM with a good tackle. Now enabling teammates here to capture that ball. Miami being tackled right there by Riptide, however, and you don't want to evade the Riptide. It can be deadly.
Yeah, as Riptide now works their way up through the midfield. A nice cross pass, beautiful cross there, and what a save from cross check. The cross pass can't get through cross check, Pally.
No, sir. That extends all the way back to Echo Arena as well. That experience there from cross check as a Ninja comes in, and whoa, it's going to be a score. Just tips it right in off of the fingers, and that will be a 2-0 as this time winds down last 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's kind of the nail in the coffin there. They still had an opportunity if they had gotten ball control again and gone back on the offense. But at this point, maybe you're just looking for a point, something to get you comfortable. As you do see Austin trying to get set up there. DMR slapping it down to the ground. Still hasn't ended the round, though. I don't know why that didn't end. Maybe it didn't hit the ground. I'm not sure. But either way, they score a point. And that will be the end of the round. And win goes to High Voltage for round 1 of this best of 5.
Yeah, notably speaking as well, that will be the first round loss, I do believe, for Secret here. They had a very successful day 1, 3-0 across the board. For High Voltage, they only dropped 1 round in day 1. But yeah, that will be Secret's first taste of a loss here. A little bit of, again, struggle, but against a talented team in High Voltage. And they only did drop by just a small margin. So there's still some positives to be taken out of that. But of course, we have a new 5 minutes underway. Best of 5 here today, of course. And plenty of time to expend still. Just need to re-strategize a little bit.
Yeah, just need to lock back in. And we've seen actually I don't know, it's been pretty consistent, Palador. The ability for teams to come back with this best of 5 is happening more often. At least teams getting a round on the board. And maybe it's just because they know they have more length, more time in front of them in the series. But either way, we're diving into round 2, and we're going to see if maybe they can claw one up. Maybe Secret, with a little momentum off of that goal they scored, can find an early opener here as they do get the ball pressure off early into the zone of High Voltage. They're going to try and scoop up this first point.
Well, indeed, some contesting each other there defensively. Will be a turnover now going to Miami. The teammates spreading the floor here for High Voltage as they approach that midfield. Riptide, though, trying to get a rip on that ball. Sends it flying outside, right towards that opposite trench. Riptide eventually catching up, but it's tackled immediately. Still manages to have the ball. So definitely a lot of intense defense coming here, but just the same, really keeping up with that ball. Riptide not going to be satisfied until that ball is his, it would seem. Pinata likewise, as they now climb that bridge and now fall right under it. Watch out for trolls.
Yeah, just looking for ball control here. Nice little play up from the top of the ceiling. Good cross pass to RX Teal, but they can't get past cross check again with a wonderful save, putting their hands up and clearing it out to the midfield.
Indeed, do not try to cross that man, but they will X the spot on the goal. What a shot from the trench.
The pass goes up to Ninja, scoops it up from the sewers, and they take the mid-court shot, the halfway shot there, Pally. That's a hard shot to hit, a hard shot to take. Hard to put enough mustard on it, or enough sauce, as we say, onto that shot. We'll see if we can get a sauced-up shot here. No, Innovator can't slap it in time, and instead it rolls over into the corner, where they have to reset.
And RX will reset to Pinata. I like the patience here, although they will allow the defense also to set. Cross-check a sturdy defender in there, as well as Ninja, seeing that ball coming from a mile away there. But Pinata, once again, in the favorite spot, right up there by that nest, and sending a pass. Innovator attempting a shot there. Again, the high-voltage defense really clamping down. Sometimes it's cross-check, sometimes it's others on the team, but they're all really playing that cohesive team defense, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you got to be in sync. I'm always curious what the comms sound like between these teams, how active they are. Sometimes they're quieter than you suspect, but I imagine they're pretty vocal about their positioning, where they are, and what their plans are with boosts and how they want to play, when they should pass, if they're open, that sort of thing, because, well, that's how it kind of works in real sports, too, as we do get a push up through the sewers here, trying to get some offensive pressure coming in from the likes of High Voltage, but it's really been Secret who have been in High Voltage's zone for quite a while now.
And now trying to get back into that scoring zone. Ninja flying high. Miami on the rebound. Another one unsuccessful. Pinata comes away with the ball. Is tackled out by DM. And underneath that bridge will be Pinata trying to roll away and find some space amongst those trees of defenders coming at them. Less of trees, I suppose, because they are very uprooted right now up in that sky. As RX sends it low, but no power behind it. Gets slapped out of there by the goalkeepers. Remaining on this side of the floor, and still yet maybe another attempt, although a lot of conversion there from the defenders will make it tough for Secret, although they still do have an attempt here, Knight, as they go deep, but a bit of a forced shot there. Easy save.
Yeah, they tried to go for another long shot, but doesn't go in. Like you said, easier save when it's that you got the option to read it. It's harder to pinpoint those pocket shots, obviously, as we do get into the midfield here. And Pinstar, they could be scrambling for possession. That was dangerous for a moment. The intercept, you know, when you're in the back line like that, and even if your whole defense is there, one intercept, you can suddenly slip past 3-4 defenders and have yourself a nice open goal. Nice slap shot there, but again, a long shot that gets quickly defended. The follow-up doesn't.
All right, well, it does squeeze its way in after all, after some long shots there. I do like some of these passes going in from Secret. I think definitely to their benefit if they can get just a little bit shorter range on those ones, but it does work out for them there. High Voltage back on the defense now, and there's cross-check. Just to slap it back out, sees Ninja on the other side, so not only a save, but also clear to a teammate at the very least to make sure it's not a guaranteed giveaway. There's Miami snagging it from the sky as the defender loses the boost, so Miami is free now to juke a little bit. Has Ninja over at the back, but just lost the juice as well. I think a tackle dislodging as cross-check captures that ball from deep, sends it over to Miami. Miami, the tap to the back. Ninja waiting there so patiently. Back to Miami now. Over to DM, and DM, no! A good defensive play, but the second attempt is in.
The relentless follow-up gets High Voltage their quick follow-up. Back into the lead they go. 30 seconds left. The Secret team needs to deploy a secret strategy and get a point on the board here so they don't have this High Voltage squad going to match and series point. As, look at this, nice juke from Riptide. There's the follow-up they needed. What a wonderful 1-2 punch, Palador.
What a wonderful world it is when we are looking at overtimes here on the casting end. An exciting time for sure. 10 seconds left still, but that does mean the next goal is going to be the winner either way. So we're looking at a highlight play about to potentially unfold. The defense now scrambling towards that ball. 3 of them, in fact, all piling up as RX will come away with that one, slapping it through the arms. A cross-check, actually, so cross-check now, needing to rush back to that goal. A little bit exposed as it's covered by Riptide. Riptide will go in and wave them goodbye with a game-ending score there, 3-2.
That is it. That means we're headed to at least 4 rounds here in our first round, our first best of 5. I mean, Pally, it doesn't get a whole lot better than this right here. This is a good start to what, again, we were expecting to be competitive, you know, rounds 5, 6, 7, the later stages of this Swiss bracket where really, you know, a loss could potentially kind of knock you out. You know, if you got to keep winning to stay up in that top 8.
Yeah, exactly. And at least around 4, as you noted, that was kind of the magic number yesterday, at least on the streams for a lot of our casts. We got plenty of round 4s and a lot of close games, not a lot of just straight up mercies. They're very close, very competitive. So good to see that trend continuing here on day 2, and you come to expect it as those brackets sort themselves out. But yeah, here we go. Knights are off into another round, the start of the 3rd that is here soon.
Yep, happy that we are here. Happy you fine folks are tuning in and enjoying the action. Reminder, multiple streams are live right now. Another one that you can tune into, hosted by Gibular Bob, but also obviously action right here in front of you as we get into round 3, the kickoff. The battle for the ball control underneath the sewers ends up in a clear up through the midfield.
All right, so into the midfield will be Innovator. Wow, speedily coming through. Had so much speed on that, but so did Lulz. So Lulz actually stepping in to round 2, substitutes, and it will be sent right out towards that midline. So good to see Lulz, a OG, a high voltage member dating back years ago to Echo Arena, and maybe a familiar face for you folks who follow AA. Which, well, you know Orion Drift, of course you do. So good to see Lulz here on the stream, stepping into things now as the ball gets lost up here by the bridge.
Yep, it's always good to have the deep roster, Pally, especially when you have to play multiple days, multiple best of 5s, multiple weekends, you know, to have the extra stamina and availability pays off. And, well,
and to be fair, NA is pretty used to the multiple weekends thing after the last month.
That's true. Yeah,
so,
for real.
You know, we were just giving him practice, that's all.
But hey, if we keep having tournaments this big, they're going to be like 3 weekend tournaments.
Don't put that curse on us. Just kidding. Good problem to have, as I said.
Really.
The participation, insane.
Ooh, that shot just a little bit wide, but still, the persistent shots on goal, Palador. The secret team continues to hammer away at and around the goal, but just not finding nearly as many through that cross-check defense.
Yeah, intense and definitely a tough wall to crack there on multiple occasions, although the ball there getting lost just briefly. There's Pinata, some clever jukes. Oh, beautiful pass. The recognition to find his teammate there. I think Riptide potentially didn't quite catch it, but that was just great. Drew the 2 goalies outside the goal and then made the very smart play.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of manipulate and try and affect how the defense sets up, whether it's tackling the goalie or drawing them out with a fake pass, a slow pass, a flutter, you know, whatever you can come up with. It's, wow, a nice retrieve there from Ninja. Fires one in, and we're tied 1-1.
Yeah, beautiful job to just do the dirty work all by himself. Now Ninja actually being a bit of a pest here right at that mid-line, the inbounds line, as Riptide does manage to evade and create a little bit of space. Riptide diving in, a deep pass over to RX. RX having trouble initially to find that ball, will struggle with it, but Innovator's there to swoop in, save the day. Likewise, though, for DM over into the midfield. Riptide will carve away with it through that sewer, trying to find a better open angle. Of course, tough to find in the sewers, so they will exit right quick. Riptide, he sees red.
That was a wonderful setup there, working their way through with that ceiling carve and then dodging the, what is that thing, 2-3 defenders on the back line to fire that one in for another goal. It's Secret back in the lead, but for how long? This one's already into the zone of Secret, but quickly cleared to the sewers.
And 2 more minutes remaining with that 1-point advantage. So High Voltage trying to get back on the scoreboard here right quick. RX Joel will be with the ball here, but just misses the handles. That could be an opening for Ninja, but unable to do so. Pinata slapping it midfield. And picked up right there by Ninja. Looks like maybe a little bit of lag there potentially, but does get it back and looks well connected once again. And it will be now coming away with it. Riptide opts to back it out to RX. RX, a nice juke, and the distribution loses the ball, and the rebound is not found as it's going to be taken out here by RX in the mid.
Yeah, trying to push up there. Nice little midfield, side field battle up underneath there as Pinata tries to slap it up. Tries to get control, can't quite scoop it away from Lulz, who resets, slows things down. Not going to rush their way forward unless the team is ready and charged. And you can't afford to miss passes like that because every little mistake gets punished as suddenly the ball is out of this offensive control and back into the hands of Secret.
We're at that 1 minute mark now, so it's becoming all the more important for a score. Oh my goodness, and actually looks like we got a disconnect, and that will result on the shot connection. Miami this time. We've seen this earlier from High Voltage. They lost a player. I think it was Ninja before. Now it's Miami, so some unfortunate dropouts here will potentially cost the round for High Voltage as the time winds up here.
Yeah, this is not what you want, but I think they're back, so back into the 4v4. They could answer back quick here. Palador down 2. What's the time left? Yeah, maybe not enough. Like you said, as Lulz going to scoop it up. Looks for the push up into the zone of Secret. The cross pass to DM RD, and the shot on goal there goes wide, and the clear is basically going to put the nail in the coffin for this round as Secret are suddenly rallying back here for 2 rounds in a row after they locked this one in.
Yeah, we've seen this in cases before with reverse sweep scenarios, and not necessarily going to happen quite yet, but after High Voltage took that first round, Secret has done well to stay mentally engaged in this game, and they've come back. They've won 2 in a row now. not by large margins, but you know what? Even 1 point margin is still more than enough. A win is a win here. And again, pretty consistent scores across these 3 rounds. Really competitive match to open up the stream, pleasantly so.
Yeah, this is a fun one to tune into. I think there's also probably a really good match going on over on our second stream right now. If you do want to jump into that, I think that Control versus IVNA, that's certainly something worth tuning into. The IV squad, that franchise definitely stamping their name down with who won EU? I already forgot. We just guessed it.
Yeah, it was indeed Ivy winning out on that event. They were the underdogs going into the Pioneer Cup, and now they've established themselves with 2 in a row. They're the top dogs over in EU. Of course, we have an IVNA as well, very present across our regions and even different leagues, different VR esports supported by VRML. So definitely a franchise to watch out for. Of course, we had that great match yesterday, seeing the re-debut of Ignite, formerly known as Crane Gang versus IVNA. That was an exciting one to end the stream last night.
Yeah, it was. I've been thoroughly impressed and happy with the games that we have had. I think right now we're dealing with maybe a roster debate internally. I think because they've had some connection issues, they're trying to figure out who to bring in. So we do apologize for the brief pause between now and round 4. But we've had some fantastic series all weekend long, and it's delivered beyond my expectations. I mean, I was hoping that we would see teams improve over the between the 2 cups, and I think that has definitely happened, Pelly. We're definitely seeing the general skill line, the general skill ceiling of all of these teams be much higher than it was when we started it with the Pioneer Cup, and to me that's impressive. That's already happened in a few weeks. What's going to happen in a few years, if we look forward into the future. I can't wait to see how good some of these teams develop their skills, and we don't have to wait much longer to see how good these teams develop their skills as round 4 kicks off.
Yeah, it's been a joy to watch that skill level across the regions, even the different variety of metas and such. OCE, I would say, really prioritizes the passes. A nice save there from Pinata. EU has really clamped down on some incredible defense, and I'd say NA is a good mix between the 2, as we see now trying to mix it up for a 1-point score. Innovator of offense makes a lot of sense there on the deep drive towards goal.
What's the secret is what High Voltage is wondering.
Well, they're finding out so far, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, they certainly are, as Ninja is looking for the answer back. A nice cross pass to Miami, but they can't cross it in for the shot on goal. It gets slapped away as Riptide scoops it up on the corner. It's their way up through the midfield. Cross over to Pinata. Pinata VR up through the midfield. Can't find much through the center as he runs into 3 defenders, all looking for the tackle, all getting knocked back and all kind of now scrambling for ball control in their zone.
And Miami now with the brief control, but Pinata there trying to hit him like a pinata, it seems like. A couple of tackles in a row will buy the ball back. So Pinata playing the defense, and it buys him the one-on-one right on cross-check. Oh, but gets crossed instead. What a nice save again. Just head on. Looked cool, calm, collected, not scared by the bull running at him with the horns.
Really nice job there to shut that one down as Pinata VR swooping around through the midfield, trying to cross up. Nice pass to Riptide. The shot on goal from RX finds its way through, and that's a good 1-2-3 punch. I mean, maybe intended the rebound shot. Hard to say, but either way, a pretty nice bit of coordination there. And another connection issue plaguing this High Voltage team.
Yeah, just noticing that happened a little bit before that last goal. Looks like Ninja once again dying there. The headset looks like frozen in the air, and meanwhile the team here in High Voltage is just struggling to keep that ball out of the goal zone while they figure out that issue. So unfortunately, kind of power play advantage, at least for the moment, back in favor of Secret, who do have the ball, diving down at that goal. But again, some tremendous goalkeeping, keeping them alive. Cross-check with some damage being done against that Secret offense. We're trying to go at it again, but denied once again.
Yeah, they just need to let cross-check back in, and suddenly the wall up and defense is there, and they're able to shift that over to an offensive pressure point here, but no shot on goal. Riptide pushes out with a nice tackle. A good swing from Walls, looking for an intercept to get behind the defense pressure there, but can't quite get it. Is challenging the 1v3. Takes a shot anyway, and it gets swatted away.
I'm digging like really deep into my bag of memories here, and I could be wrong, but so one of the players can correct me if I am, and you listened to the stream earlier. I do believe, if I recall, in one of the first games I ever casted of High Voltage way back at Echo Arena, I think Crosscheck actually became one of the very few players, only like maybe 1 or 2 hands I can count it on, who had a 10 save game in Echo Arena and VRML's seasonal play. One of the very few players to do that, if I remember. I think I'm right, and based on what I'm seeing today, it might be the case, although they really need to get some offense here. As good as their defense has been, they have not been able to score quite as much these last few rounds here.
Yeah, they're down 2, and it's kind of do or die for High Voltage in this best of 5. They need to win here to take it to a 5th round. Otherwise, it's going to be Secret coming back in 3 in a row, which will be pretty nice. That's good momentum for them to go in to round 6 with, because we do have 2 more best of 5s after this to dive into. This is only the warm-up round, if you will, Palador, for NA in the Swiss bracket for day 2. Is another shot and a great pass to Innovator, finds its way in.
Well, I got to give a lot of credit to Secret here, Knight, because as mentioned, that they lost the first round here against High Voltage, and that was the first round that they dropped all tournament long this weekend. As a nice save there coming in from Pinata. So how did they react to their first round loss? They came back and they've won the last couple and are looking to maybe close this out in a reverse sweep. So incredible mental game and just ability to stay engaged.
Except Laws somehow holds on to it. From the back line, DMRD tries to push forward with a little momentum that they had built up, but instead they run into a wall on defense there from High Voltage. From High Voltage. Secret coming up here, keeping on to their 2-point lead and making it difficult for High Voltage to put any points on the board as we do, again, just kill time here, which is a great plan for Secret.
Well, here comes cross-check over to DM. DM high up there, little off the mark. DM again bouncing it, but once more the defense getting in the way. A few defenders, arms, legs, and so on, all getting up in their grills. Taken over by Riptide. Time is winding down. There is RX handing it off to Innovator. Scored earlier on and then gets scored with a huge tackle, in fact. Cross-check and DM right there at the bridge trying to deal with that defender as it turns into offense now for Secret, but the time is just about up. So next play here, next time the ball touches that ground, that's going to be the round.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep it up for a little fun to see if they can put another point on the board, it seems, because they've already won and almost fumble it onto the ground there, but they keep it elevated. Pinata looking for that shot, gets knocked down in the tackle, and now it's back into the hands of High Voltage, looking to put a little extra point on the board as we do just keep this thing in the air until finally Secret make its way into the goal and find their 4th round in this best of 5, locking in a Series W.
All right, well, impressive stream debut here for Secret. Not sure if they've been casted on the other channels and maybe in Pioneer, but from my perspective, first time we've looked at them this weekend, and really strong showing against a team who I did know several of the players on High Voltage, kind of know what to expect, but then I saw Secret coming up with an impressive undefeated record in those brackets, and they showed exactly why. They had solid all-around play. They weren't getting, again, too frazzled or worried about the fact that they dropped their first round for the first time this weekend, but they just came back. Yeah. They took care of business. Yeah. High Voltage their night. Again, they showed some tremendous flashes, especially on the defensive end, but they really could not break through those walls and really get enough possession time, it felt like, to really get some quality looks and quality shots at the other end. It was really a lot of control there by Secret.
Speaking of control, there's another series live over on Stream 2. It's Control versus IVNA. And they're into their 4th round as well. I don't know that they have a victor yet. I do believe they're wrapping up round 4 here in Control in the lead, so it could be taking us to a round 5 on Stream 2. So do jump over to there and check that one out. We've got other games, like I said, live, and we'll be eventually jumping into more best of 5s as we get into round 6 and 7, but it may be a little bit for us until we do. So we do appreciate your patience. Like we said, go check out the other streams on the VRML Network. We also got Breachers, Veil. There's a lot of VR esports coming up later tonight as well with Pavlov and Dash League. So you've got a wealth of options, but please do.
Can I?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Can you shout out? I forgot actually way earlier on. We did have a super chat, right? From Con VRist, 199 there. Team Ruin on top. Eventually, in parentheses. Didn't want to miss that, so thank you very much for the support here on the stream. We really appreciate it from you guys, and as well as the rest of you on YouTube in the chat there. See Top Dog saying, Palador, we won! That was for you, my boy. Thank you. I'm a little older than a boy now, but I appreciate the win. Congrats on that one. See Jucifer, Far, welcome back to the stream there. Tour Drifter, Austin Kangaroo, Good to see you there from the game into the stream chat now. And Golden Grenade as well as Anakin. Love you guys. Thank you for supporting us and the teams here on stream today. All right, Knight, back to you now.
Yeah, I do want to also talk before we go to the break quickly about VRMLCon. It is coming up. The qualifiers online start in just, less than a month from now. They start at the end of this month. July 25th to the 27th is the Phoenix is our Phoenix VRMLCon, but we have the Invitational coming up the month before, June 26th to the 27th, or 25th to the 27th, I think. It is something that you need to register for now. If you buy a ticket to VRMLCon, then you can get yourself entered into any of the 5 tournaments that we are hosting at VRMLCon from Friday to Sunday. It's a 3-day event, and that one ticket gets you into all 3 days. It gets you entry into all 5 tournaments, and one of those tournaments being the Phoenix Invitational. Thank you. Under June 27th and the 29th, I knew I was close. Okay, 2 days off. June 27th and 29th, you can enter into this tournament with a ticket, and if you win, you get to fly out to Phoenix, where we have the VRMLCon Phoenix Invitational hosted live. People are going to be on stage playing the game across 2 stages. It's 16 teams qualifying all day Sunday. It's an incredible event. We've sold a bunch of tickets already. It's going to be a huge LAN event with a lot of people participating. And Palador, we've both been to one before. I've hosted 2 of them. They're a lot of fun, as you can see here on screen.
Tremendous fun. Again, the best time of my life, without exaggeration, has been attending these LAN events, including VRMLCon, that very first one. So memorable and such a moment of pride for all of us from the players and production standpoint as well. So if you can be there, do. Promise, prize money aside, which is amazing, just being able to meet all the like-minded individuals, all your teammates, the rivals, just getting to hang out with everyone for a full weekend, talk shop, talk about your favorite games, metas, some of my favorite memories also, or just even the simpler times, sitting in hotels at these events with some of the other players and debating various metas and strats for hours on end, things like that. But going around the city, enjoying the time of the whole weekend there, there's so much to see, so much to do. And in those highlight clips you just saw on stream as well, again, some of those players you saw Sir Dimwee there on the casting desk over in AA. Now you see Strembitsky and Ender proudly holding up those medals from that first VRMLCon, the Sunset Cup for Echo Arena. And now they're also working hard at Orion Drift, as a developer, as a community manager for Ender. I mean, it's crazy how far we come and how full circle it all comes. So you want to be a part of it, trust me, because it's a part of history.
Yeah, it might be our biggest event yet. It's certainly looking like it could be. So do be sure to pick up your tickets now and jump in. Register your team for the online qualifiers. The tournament, the VRMLCon, July 25th to the 27th. You can buy tickets by going to vrmasterleague.com/VRMLCon or vrmlcon.com for more information. Thank you so much for sticking through our spiel. We do appreciate you. It matters a lot to us, and we want to give the biggest announcement platform we can to everybody that this tournament is happening in Phoenix, and that you can enter into it now and have a chance at $5,000 cash prizing. We're going to take a quick break. Go check out the other stream if it is still live. We will be back with round number 6 of this Swiss bracket for 2 more best of 5s today. Don't go anywhere.
Prepare to start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match phase.
VR Master League and Another Axiom are proud to introduce the Phoenix Driftball Invitational, Orion Drift's first ever on-stage tournament at VRMLCon 2025. For those attending the event, gather your team and enter for a chance to play on stage and compete for the $5,000 grand prize.
The format is simple. Phase 1 is an online open qualifier bracket where every team that enters will battle it out for a top seed. The top 16 teams from the qualifier will earn their spot on stage and move forward to compete at VRMLCon on July 27th.
The competition truly begins with the Phoenix phase, a single elimination bracket played in person across 2 different stages throughout the day. It all culminates in the Driftball Grand Finals, the closing act of the event, where only one champion can be crowned.
Want to throw your hat in the ring? Use the VRML Discords to find a team of fellow attendees and sign up using the form in the server. Just remember, all players must have tickets and be attending the event to sign up. Online players will not be eligible for the Phoenix stage.
VRMLCon 2025 is shaping up to be the event of a lifetime. Don't miss your chance for an unforgettable VR experience. Get your tickets and sign up for the Phoenix Invitational today.
Welcome back, everybody. We're diving right into our next round. Didn't take long, Pally. Pretty nice quick break in between as we get into round one of Valiance versus Sunshine. Two undefeated teams today, and right away, Plunge taking control. But yeah, it's going to be hard to challenge the 1v4 as everyone's stacked up on defense on Sunshine.
And Slip now with the ball will slap that through. Almost gets by the defender. That's going to go deep into the midfield, however. Will be Janu there with the ball right at the bridge, has plenty of time to spare. Oh, but takes an awkward bounce, loses the handles, and a good tackle there. Will dislodge the ball for a moment as Nugs tries to collect that one. Green Pigeon coming in. Knight, these two teams both right there at the top level, tied for that first seed at the moment as a first shot goes in from Nugs.
The first shot finds its way in as an open goal that comes in from Valley, and Sunshine had a solid opening defense off of the initial launch, but then weren't able to get back in time once they lost control in the midfield there. The intercepts are really key to putting your team up and getting past what can be sometimes a really strong setup defense. And so as they were all waiting for their positions there, for the pass, it gets slapped away and recentered into the midfield, and everyone's got to scramble back on defense in Sunshine's zone.
And Kingsley up there trying to contest slip off a pass. Oh, what a beautiful thing that was to try and set up the play. It did not work out, but I like it. That almost looked like a very intentional, by my eyes, wall pass to the other cutting player, the teammate there. Didn't work out, but still, I like the attempt. It's crafty, it's clever, it's creative, and we saw a lot of those wall dribbles and bounces really being used as setup plays yesterday as well.
Another open goal, this time coming in from Sunshine. Again, just weaving past the front line of the defense by going down to the sewers. The big intercept scoop up puts both teams onto the board, and we'll see if they end up getting some passing sequences in here that end up scoring them some points. Plunge had an opportunity. Both defenders dove out a goal there, but so far, just breakaways that have put up points on the board.
Yeah, that fadeaway shot attempt, I can admire it, but definitely a harder one to make. Meanwhile, on this side of the things, Corpus finds a bouncer, a sick angle, and a slick shot gets past the defense.
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of an overextension from defense. Sometimes we talk about getting aggressive being good as a defender to push out and stop the goalie, the goal from getting close to you. Sometimes overextending can end up, using up your boost, putting you in awkward positions and spots where you can't defend the goal like you want to, and that's sort of what happened there. But a nice shot also comes in as we do get a breakaway again, and another shot on goal. Corpus just scoops it up from 3 defenders.
Sunshine now up by a pair, 3-1. Still 2:20 left in this round. But wow, really fast pace, and one that we have not come to expect so much over the course of this as that shot. Oh, is it good? Is it good? No, it's great.
That is maybe a 75% court shot right there. That was a really nice toss, and they just, I feel like I haven't seen those since, I haven't seen one of those since we've been watching Orion Drift. It's a staple of Echo Arena. You take those full court shots, but that's one that is hard to hit in a game like Orion Drift, but hit it nonetheless. Is maybe they're learning. Janu on the back line saying, we're not going to let any more open goals get threaded through here.
Yeah, I think part of it too is because of the speed of the ball on your average speed of the ball on those shots, as well as the higher average speed of players who can race down that floor. I think combine those two things, it makes it harder to really get those full court shots, because defenses are usually able to get back just because of that speed, the trajectory of the ball. It's not a straight shot, compared to that Echo disc. Nice. That shot just misses. But here's Kingsley. Now the defense getting back in line, doing well so far. Oh, but couldn't hit that one. Just takes a corner bounce off the top.
Yeah, and a nice solid in-goal defense there, stopping things from going through. Janu on the back line, stopping what was going to be another breakaway shot on an open goal. And ultimately, ball control finally does go into the hands of this Valiant squad. They put 1 point up early, and since then haven't really found the rhythm. They're looking for the cross passes. They keep getting intercepted. The big tackles coming in on defense, disrupting their plays. They're going for another one here, but again, swatted away back into their zone.
And Janu, once again, minding that back line, will lose the ball briefly. Oh, dangerous pass there, trying to reset to the goalkeeper. Green Pigeon was in the way. Nugs shoving him out of the way once and twice. Nugs really just trying to get out of that corner, struggling with the players and the walls, but does manage to at least interrupt that offensive play going on, so well done there. As Sweet Tooth now has that bounce right pass to Janu. And with only about a minute, or rather 10 seconds left,
Yeah.
my mistake, this is going to be a solid victory here coming in for Sunshine. What an opening round here. Again, Valiant's coming in tonight, as I mentioned, or tried to mention before that fast pace kind of took me away. They have the highest point differential here so far in the tourney. These teams all tied for that #1 spot, but squeaking by with just a little bit more efficiency, it looked like, on the weights was Valiant.
That is... Yeah, I felt like the way they scored too is like, oh no, an open goal, this is going to be bad. Like they're going to sneak past a couple more times and put up some more points. But then right back at them, Sunshine finds an open goal as well. They find that breakaway. And, you can't rely on those. You have to sit back on eventually your good, solid passing coordination or either a really solid defense, which I think is what we saw shine for Sunshine. As, they were really able to stop what was a couple of shots on goal from Valiants.
Yeah, we did actually get a chance to see Sunshine yesterday as well, and performing very well. Valiant's here, getting my first look on them on the Ignition Cup here. But I'm impressed with what I've seen from these teams again. I think, and round to round, as we mentioned, momentum's a constant thing we mentioned ever since Echo, and it really applies to sports in general, right? 5-minute clock, it's really a game of runs, so really unexpectedly high scoring output in that first round relative to what the rest of the tournament has been.
Right, at this time,
But I would not deny the chance that Valiant's coming here and just doing the exact same thing back at Sunshine.
Valiance does keep finding good setups. They're hitting those passes, they're hitting the connections, but then when it comes for the shot on goal, it's either a little high, a little wide, just outside the edges of that goal. And we talk about it, but the 4v4 build has a smaller goal than the 3v3 build, and whether you practiced enough on it or not is the question. As Corpus pushes up here, cross pass to Sweet Tooth, that's a little too far.
Yeah, right beyond the reach of Sweet Tooth, didn't quite have enough speed to match the trajectory of the ball, so instead Plunge will dodge a few defenders and actually opts for a reset. A lot of strength behind that one, though, made it tough for Nugs to get, but luckily they had Slip in the deeper back line to come away with it up to the front. A dish off to Plunge and right back at him. Oh, nice job. Credit to Slip also, helped with those tackles in the goalies, on the goalies, to really enable that shot to squeeze by.
That was a sweet play. They pass up, the flutter to above themselves, to then focus immediately on the tackle and trusting that your teammate's going to take that shot, that the pass is going to connect. Almost an immediate answer back. It's not what they need. So a good defensive brawl in the midfield is, as they do swat away the ball to the corner.
And taken back by Corpus, will take a quick tap off that ceiling. Loses the ball for a moment as it goes back to the midline. Green Pigeon is there along with a few teammates. Opts for the deep pass to Corpus, all by his lonesome, and will be contested very well by the defense. Now 3 defenders all closing in on Janu here. And Janu somehow contesting it, but for how long? As that ball just goes careening into the wall. Admirable job by him, but it will be Corpus taking it away and now dribbling it up to the sky to open up some avenues for passes, perhaps.
Nice. Good intercept there. That was, like you said, going to be a good pass. That was a great avenue for a pass. Another roll that goes right into Sweet Tooth's hands that kind of dribbles across the midfield there. And now Nug's going to try and scoop that up from Kurtz, but can't quite get it. We see brawl again in the midfield. A nice tackle from Plunge. Gets them ball control, albeit for a fleeting second. From the backside, Nug scoops that one up. Nearly as they were going to throw it, pulls it out of their hands and going to keep the offensive pressure in for Valiance.
And right now, the halfway point of this round. 1 score for Valiant. Sunshine still trying to return that favor. There's Corpus with the clever moves. Wow, just gets broken up by the defenders, some tackles, and now the ball chaotically bouncing high and low around that bridge area, hitting off all that geo before Slip is able to carry it off. Slip now the backhanded fling right over to Wizard Gecko, trying to work their magic past a few defenders. That's nice. Waving the wand over to Nugs. Nugs now trying to fry some tendies, it looks like, with a tender pass, but it will be intercepted ultimately. Green Pigeon now from the sky. Way into the deep end where it's intercepted by Slip.
Slip light through this defense here. No one really in front of them. A 1v1. No, they follow up off the backboard shot and find the point. It's Valiant's up and locking in a 2-0 lead.
Well, there we go. There we have it. So a new round, new personality to this match. We've got 2 unanswered points for Valiance after they dropped the first. There's Green Pigeon trying to change that fate just a little bit as Slip hits Corpus with a tackle. A great pass, though, and gets it past the goalie like a king indeed.
Yeah, it's not over, so it's, one goal is okay, but the next one's going to sting a little bit as it'll tie things up. And yeah, the good answer back is what they need. A very fast answer back. Nugs takes the shot down and it misses. They go for the follow-up and disrupt what was going to be a clear. Keep the ball in their team's hands. As another crossover to the other side of the arena. Finds no one home. Slip going to scoot over there and try and keep it out of Green Pigeon's possession and eventually keep things moving for their offense.
Right now, Slip trying to slide it by Sweet Tooth, unsuccessfully so. A very casual save from Sweet Tooth, almost nonchalant, like he was yawning while he did it, but a nice save nonetheless. Ball going back into the mid. Carried there, a little bit of a struggle gather from Janu, trying to race back to it now. Will still manage to get it, but really cannot find that ball quite yet. The defense now getting in the way. Back to mid here, another play about to develop. Actually, no interception. So a few exchanges of possession. We're getting to that last 30 seconds now, Knight.
Yes, we are, and that's when the pressure really starts to get on here because the winning team, well, actually, yeah, if Valiants take it, we're guaranteed another 4 rounds, which I would like, quite frankly. So we'll see if they can defend this onslaught that is coming in here. Sweet Tooth has possession. They're looking for a point on the side of Sunshine. They just need one, but they can't quite get control. With the last few seconds ticking away, it does mean that it's Valiant's very likely to take this one away.
And there we go. Not even bothering with a risky shot attempt. Just going to slam it at the floor. Wise move there to expire the clock. And indeed, even up this series pleasantly, from a casting perspective at least. 1-1. Nice match here so far. Really an impressive turnaround, right? The 4 points from Sunshine. I kind of noted tonight how we're not seeing a ton of games on the among these top teams. We're not seeing a ton of high-scoring affairs with 4 or more points. A lot of these are just 1, 2, or 3 point games. But that one, a lot more of what I'm used to. And for Valiants, they held Sunshine to 3 less points. So very impressive turnaround.
Yeah, like in terms of what to expect score-wise, for a round, it feels like you could expect the same score for soccer. It's like soccer score. You go over 4 or 5. It's like, how did that happen? How did you get that many points? 6 is a mercy, and I think 20 in Echo used to be a mercy, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was 10. I could be wrong. But either way, we're into our next round. 12.
Wonder if
20 was
yes. There you go.
Okay.
Right.
Into round 3 we go, though. But, it gives you a little, scope of, how it's, low-scoring games here as round 3.
And as we touched on, like with those full court shots as well. And of course, in Echo, you had 2-pointers, 3-pointers. In this game, everything is just 1. So it really keeps that match even, and also sometimes encourages defenses to be a little bit more brave, sometimes risky, even exiting that goal, knowing that, well, a long shot kind of stinks, but at least we have a chance to catch up to it. And if it does go through, that's only 1 point instead of 2 or 3. So that kind of plays into this little bit of a slightly different meta and thought process of Orion drift, as Janu will drift right into the goal. Kind of a one-on-one play there, uncontested.
And I mean, the carving is on display this afternoon, whether it's the ceiling or the floor. These teams are so good at maneuvering in this game. They're so comfortable with the mechanics to then also be hitting passes, holding the ball, dribbling, juking out other players in front of you. It's a mastery of this game. So early in its development as a beautiful shot finds its way through Janu.
And Janu visibly unhappy with that shot getting by him, it looked like. I saw the reaction after that goal went in, but just shrugging it off now and going the opposite way. So good news for Sunshine fans and their team here, getting that first score on the board and trying to carry them to another one right quick. There's Kingsley to that Green Pigeon. Pigeon will find a pass to Sweet Tooth, well read by Plunge, taking a dive up high though, and will be taken right here into the mid zone, right to Pigeon. Pigeon slaps it towards that bridge where Corpus will collect it with about a second to spare. Right underneath Plunge, loses the handles, over to Janu, past Janu, and into the other side of the floor here. Scramble, mad scramble for the ball.
Yeah, but the real thing is we're scrambling back and forth in Valiant's zone. So Valiants need to get it out of there, and they do with a nice clear plunge up through the sewers across over to Janu, but they can't quite grab the ball behind him. Slip's able to pick up the rebound. Puts the cross over to Nugs. Nugs back to Slip. Slip looking for the shot down. No, past the plunge, but that goes wide.
I want to point one thing. Who was that? I think Slip that they did there. Had the defender in the way of the direct pass, so actually use the ceiling bounce to deliver it to the teammate. That's another thing I expect to see more, because we're seeing a lot of these cross passes be cut off when they're direct, but actually being smart with it, using those bounce passes off the bottom or the top, the ceiling there, a clever move to get past some defenders who are otherwise really reading those cross pass plays very well.
Yeah, and we've even seen bounce shots also, a great way of using the bottom backboard as a way to get the
exactly.
ball into the goal. And Slip now going to be pushing up here on the search for maybe a pass, maybe a pass off the back wall, maybe a bounce pass down to Janu. Who knows? But they are going to fumble just a little bit. Clears it out to Plunge in the center. Halo going to work their way up for the 1v3 and be absolutely tackled and swatted away.
Swatted right above the bridge. Plunge first to the ball. Has some teammates in line looking like a Nugs pass and a Nugs play. All right, deep fried.
Right into the corner, too. We've talked about it time and time again throughout this weekend, but accuracy is key in the higher tiers of this game. You have to be taking your shots with purpose. You have to be trying to hit them into the corners, avoiding that defender, trying to read the defender. And that, again, another great shot into the corner, this time from Sunshine, keeps us tied.
You know, sometimes you get those plays where it's a pass where all 4 players touch the ball. It's very eloquent and delightful to watch. And sometimes it's plays like that where it's just a line drive, one person going all the way towards the goal and gets the job done. And Pigeon can do that. He was a beast, a machine in offense back in the Echo days. So not something that's out of his wheelhouse to do here in OD either.
I feel like it's because of the nature of the game, the way that you gain momentum and can carry that momentum with you with the ball. You can probably go faster than you can throw the ball in some cases, you know. So if you can get that momentum with the ball and then you can push it into the goal, you've got a really fast shot on goal, kind of like a missile. You can then be a tackler, you can follow that ball in. There's all sorts of options if you can gain the momentum and get up into that front line. But at the end of the day, it is pretty tough to execute on. You have to be really good at carving, juking, and avoiding the enemy, all while managing ball control. And it's why these breakaways, why the 1v1s that do happen are even maybe more impressive, as we've seen a couple today. And Plunge, oh, the open goal shot goes in. That was almost missed.
Yeah, just took a fortuitous bounce in and a great look at a rare open goal. A Plunge with a huge goal there could be the turnaround point for this round. A series that's tied 1-1. Green Pigeon now looking for the quick reaction right back. A pass, but too much strength on it, so it'll be taken right back and into the midfield off of that play. Time is winding down, gathering the ball. There's another open goal just to secure the round for Valiance. 4-2 at that.
Yeah, and this is only round 3 of the best of 5, so the series isn't over. We've still got at least one more after this, but Valiants are definitely in a comfortable position. We've seen Sunshine bounce back from losing their first round against Valiants to winning round 2. Now they've lost round 3. Maybe they'll win round 4, and then we'll head to round 5 and tally who is going to win there. Who knows? But that's a little bit of future predictions coming in from me, because we still got round 4 coming up pretty shortly, just a minute time between rounds.
Yeah, anyone's game at this point. It's been fun to watch and very close these last couple rounds, especially. Just a couple goals in a row there towards the last 30 seconds would secure it for Valiance, but otherwise it was close the rest of the rest of the way. And I think chat is also equally interested in this match. I see Far chiming in there on YouTube, just saying that this match is much closer than expected, and Valiants are playing very well, and that they are. And you see also Ricky and I do not know. Shout out to you guys. Famous Pebbles, once again, Thomas, also. Again, great games earlier, by the way, for you EU folks tuning in. Good to see you here on the stream, and good to see this next round beginning right away. A quick goal night to start things off for Sunshine. You love to see it if you're a Sunshine player.
No, that's exactly what you were talking about, the 1-2-3 pass sequence for the shot on goal, getting past the defensive front line, working the way around it for the attempt, and Plunge tries to get past Sweet Tooth, but Sweet Tooth swats it away for a beautiful save.
And slowly to Slip in the midfield, who sends another lob right back. But the defense playing tight enough that they're just forced to make these quick passes. You can see that really playing up on them is this Sunshine team. Will be Corpus now flying away with it, has the options and couldn't quite hit the return into the goal, sent out of there by Slip. Into the midfield where Sweet Tooth awaits, carves. Oh, but Plunge, the patient play, didn't dive for the ball, actually waited, expected the carve to occur, and then read that beautifully now for the pass and the rebound. Oh, what a beautiful setup after the great steal from Plunge.
I mean, this is just, it's awesome. We're into round 6, the second of 3 best of 5s this afternoon. We're into the 4th round of this best of 5, and so far today, Palador, NA is delivering on good quality VR esports back and forth. These teams bringing their A game as Janu tries to swat it away and maybe ends up pushing it into the corner.
We may be in a new game, but I feel like we're in Chicago again. Players pointing out that ball, sticking in an awkward spot, but a goal is a goal, I do suppose, as Corpus will roll and bowl. It's a strike, and it's going to be another score right off the bat, 3-1. This is starting to look like round one again.
It almost feels like Sunshine have been like trying to get to a round 5 intentionally. Okay, we'll let them win this next round, and then we'll step it up when it comes time for round 4, because that just is a different powered team where they come in so strong in the early game, put up 2-3 points like they have, and now have a 2-point lead. They're going to go back on the attack again as well. They got to stop this damage that keeps coming in on the scoreboard.
Oh, and the damage will continue, a waterfall, in fact. Sunshine are raining down on Valiant's parade. After Valiant just took the last 2 rounds in a row, Sunshine showing the strong mental game here to get right back into it and in a great position in round 4.
Here on the side of Valiant's looking for some points back because well, they have time. 2:20 on the clock isn't impossible to bounce back from. If more points get scored, it might become impossible. 5-1, 2 away from getting a mercy here, Pally.
Yeah, wild turnaround, and indeed the personality of this round looking like the first once again, where Sunshine was able to take that away. Now Nugs trying to change a little bit, change their luck and get back on the board, but you can kind of see a little bit of that confidence shaken, I think, here. You know, again, those ups and downs, ebb and flows, mentally speaking, when it comes to esports and these types of games where, you know, you get a little bit too flustered and invested in the plays that just happened, and they're finding themselves now at the detriment, you know, of open goals, essentially, because of what the Sunshine players have been able to do here. So Valiant's just really needing to refocus a little bit, and Sunshine just maintain it.
Good save there, knocking that extra point from going in, avoiding us going to mercy point. As we do get close to time, 1:20 on the clock, not a lot left for them to work with and start scoring pretty quickly on it. Whoa, and what a spin from Corpus. That was a fast carved 360 where they redirect the ball back onto the offense.
A spin to win and plunge again with an open goal. It'll make him grin. There you go, breaking that scoring seal for at least a couple minutes there, getting one on the board. Only a minute left, however, but you still need those scores to build you a little bit of confidence, and they got it there.
Yeah, maybe riding a little bit of momentum now going into the end of this round and the beginning of our next, because again, we're guaranteed at least 4 rounds with how these teams have been playing, maybe a 5th. We'll see if we do get there, pal. Oh yeah, we are on our 4th. We're almost gonna get our 5th here if Sunshine do lock this in as Sweet Tooth scoops it up and keeps the clock ticking down.
Yeah, and our ever active YouTube chat there pointing out the script writers hard at work here to give us what we demanded. We've been asking for it. We got it. A slip. Oh, just lost it, but plunges there for the recovery. So despite the fact that this will be a round loss, looking like here for Valiance, credit to them. They're still getting some late game scores at least, and Plunge doing a lot of the work in that regard the last couple rounds. Has had some very powerhouse type of offensive moves. So I think if they want to get back into it, they'll definitely want to, hunker down for this 5th round and just realize, hey, it's a new 5 minutes. That one was a rough one, but let's remember how it was feeling to get everything we wanted in those prior rounds. Credit to Sunshine, though, Knight. Again, they looked down and out for a while. New personality, new team. They really fixed those mentals between those rounds.
Yeah, and now we've had 2 best of 5s broadcast live on the VRML Network in both round 5 on stream 2 and now round 6 here on stream 1. So pretty good. I mean, NA delivering. Like I said, these games awesome to tune into, and I'm just happy we're here. Shout out to Wonder, operating the cameras and handling all of the assets. We do appreciate him behind the scenes. He does a great job and needs a little credit every once in a while. Folks should know that camera when they see it. As we do get ready to jump into our last and final round of this best of 5. Winner takes all and moves on. Well, I guess gets a win and I guess stays undefeated because these are 2 undefeated squads.
Yeah, 2 undefeated squads right there tied for number 1. Pigeon looking for that number 1 score off of that round. Would be a repeat of earlier on. Sweet Tooth almost hit it, taking a bounce, though, from the top of the goal. Meanwhile, tackles forming at the bridge. A lot of players converging, all but 2, as now folds into the trench. Players finally starting to get a little separation after the brief dog piles. Still a couple of defenders here really bothering Plunge, again, who's been kind of an offensive force here for them, unable to maintain control of the ball as Nugs now sends it back. That's a wise reset to Janu, now maybe opening an opportunity for their offense on this other side.
Yep. Scramble for control here. No goal just yet. We've had some pretty early goals secured, I feel like, in this series. So this may be one of the longer times we've gone between these two squads without putting a point on the board. As they do, again, just kind of vie for control. No one really able to set up their offense. No one able to get into position. Maybe a breakaway could come in, but they've learned. Look at this, Janu not allowing that goal to be open anymore, Pally.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth trying to play keep away for a while, but it only works for so long. Pigeon here from the top, hitting the floor as Plunge swipes it away. The pickpocket and deep down, a little wide on the shot. Again, you don't have a lot of space or a lot of time, but Plunge seems to see those angles. Just couldn't quite hit it with that accuracy that they wanted. Nonetheless, Kingsley will bounce it off that ceiling to Corpus. A nice delivery there and a deep shot. Could it be? No. Wide as well, but you love the intention as Sweet Tooth is in the area to slap it back. Beautiful pass to Green Pigeon. Struggles with the handles just briefly and couldn't convert. Oh, lost the ball. Could have been a great setup for a score there otherwise.
The defense had fully pulled themselves out of goal. They had several attackers sitting out in front, ready to swat it in. And when they go for the swat, it's a little rushed, and it bounces just a touch wide. An unfortunate missed opportunity that keeps us at a 0-0 scoreline.
Yeah, I think the result of just the nature of Orion Drift, where at any level, and especially these top levels, you know you don't have a lot of time, especially if you're around that goal. You know that you're only ever within a 1/10 of a second of being tackled out of your boots. So a little rush on that shot, and now we'll be back to the offense here for Plunge & Co. on the blue as it goes right into the mid to Janu.
And we're going to look for the cross pass out. Can't quite find it, and a big clear. Nobody's there. It's just a little wide, though. That was a little close for comfort as they scoop it back up in control. And again, looking for the offensive setup. Nugs with a nice pickup, a nice halo juke. Go for the 1v2. Tries to take the shot, but's tackled away. For the rebound, no. Can't quite get it.
Yeah, a little ambitious on that one. Nugs going 1v2, just relying on the defenders from behind also not catching up. So unable to convert on that one. Nugs trying to capture Pigeon, and a good tackle to at least break it up. A slip with Plunge right on toe, going for that big boost. They stack, and they attack. How about that?
You love to see a Valiance opener after Sunshine really kind of dominated round number 4. And again, it's like we trade what kind of Sunshine we're going to see each round. Are they going to be a 5-6 point scorer, or instead is it going to be Valiance with an early lead and some great defense coming in from Janu?
That was a 6 save. That looked like a guaranteed goal. This one might be, though. No, Plunge out of the way. So great defense being shown now by Valiance as they swing it to the other end of the floor. Catching up to it first is Slip. Defense now all retreated into the goal. The ball there getting loose for a moment, recaptured, and a great juke from Plunge. Plunge juking past a few different players, delivering to Nugs. Nugs too high, but Plunge is there once again to clean up.
Follow-ups are so hard to accurately get. It feels like it's a little bit random, but sometimes they seem a little bit more deliberate, you know, like they know they're going to have this bounce off the backboard for a shot. And that was a beautiful pass sequence right out the offensive rollout, Pally. We got to be cautious about that because I feel like sometimes the offensive rollout results in a really fast point as I keep yammering on here.
Well, they definitely needed that point with only 40 seconds left. At least keep it close. A 1-point game. They can score again. We might be looking at an overtime. Oh my goodness, the time is now.
It's tied up 2-2. We're getting 30 seconds away from OT. It's the 5th round in a best of 5. There's nowhere else to go but winning the series for the next goal. That's a great cross pass there. Bounces off the top of the backboard and rolls over into the corner. Nugs goes for the clear. Back to Janu, who's there at home and available. Good momentum built. Plunge gets the pass. The shot there gets knocked away by the defense.
All right, big plays coming up there to Slip. Slip getting stuck by Pigeon. Nugs now bouncing it low, trying to find a teammate, and there it is, Plunge. Plunge returning it to Slip. Slip covered very well by Green Pigeon. And back to Janu in the back line. Janu rolling up that floor from that nest to Nugs. Nugs, no, couldn't hit it. Slip will recover. Slip Slipping, sliding, rolling, rocking over to Janu, and they're trying to finish this one in exciting fashion, but there's Corpus with the ball. Kingsley, a big clear right into the arms of Slip. Once again, in the perfect position for a recovery, and now we are in that crunch time. We are looking in overtime. We are looking at maybe a game winner on the line as Slip, a mighty fine pass, but no finish.
Such a good setup there, and that shot, again, trying to hit the high bar, trying to get into the corners, trying to avoid the goalie, but sometimes because you try and hit those sweet spots, you end up missing just a little bit high, a little bit low, and I feel like that's what's been happening for this offense on Valiance, these last few shots on goal. Is that clear? Gonna go in. They've learned their lesson. No more open goals here. Slip on the back line, ready and waiting. They're gonna work their way up through that midfield. Nugs, a nice sewer play. Passes over to Plunge, but really can't work forwards with it.
Plunge being guarded there. Oh, losing the ball really quick there. A nice recovery, however, for at least a brief second. Scrambling for the ball. Corpus attempting to slap it out. It will be Kingsley with a slap. Janu now rotating to the back line to recover. Slip is also back in the goal. It'll be Sweet Tooth working up the floor. They have Green Pigeon in the mid. Some good coverage here, however, at mid on Corpus. Now sending it down to Pigeon, but again, great defensive play, a turnover, but a bad bounce. Rough as it's taken from the bottom into the sewers. Tight angles here being played as it's sent right above the ramp. Kingsley chasing it down, looking for a boost. Now Janu with the ball, being assaulted by Kingsley. Plunge, a quick tap off into some more offense here before Corpus tries to disrupt.
Oh, Ninja's keeping track of overtime time because this one's starting to get up there.
Oh, yeah.
We're into a minute, 2 minutes of OT as Sweet Tooth on the back clear. It's dangerous. The back clears can end in intercepts, breakaways, and the losing goal. There's a nice intercept there from Janu, stops the setup to come in from Sunshine.
Well, here we are in the depth of things. Round 5, overtime, and Green Pigeon with everything on the line manages to save the day back into the midfield on this play. Kingsley will be there first with the ball. Will be intercepted, however, with Nugs and Slip. They're trying for that stacking play, but they got broken up by the Geo. So sending it now to Janu, curling up the floor there to Plunge. Plunge with maybe some heroics. No, it's Sweet Tooth, the sweet save. He is a sweet truth. Back into the trench and back into the offense now, potentially for Sunshine as they warp around that floor. Wrap it to Sweet Tooth on the pass. Sweet Tooth lobs it up high. Nobody there quite yet. Corpus recovers, has a little juice left in the tank. Over to Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth biding the time, buying the win.
Draws out the goalie dive, and as soon as it comes in, sinks it in the back corner. Sunshine take the series in OT, round 5. What a best of 5, Pally.
Wow, there we go. Thank you, VRML script writers. We got a round 5, and we got an overtime at that. That lasted quite a few minutes there. What a nasty game in the best of ways that one was. That's got me, got the adrenaline pumping in my tired self this weekend. What an incredible game night. Could have gone either way. Needless to say, when you get to a round 5 OT, that was really anyone's game. Super impressed with both teams, but Sweet Tooth, again, that last play just had enough wherewithal, enough boost in the tank for that matter, just to hang in the sky for a little extra long and finally found that angle on the shot. What a crazy ending to that.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to keep our multi-stream up for the rest of this Swiss bracket, so you can still catch other action live on our second stream today, as we did apparently have our some lag issues there, but they have now been sorted. So if you are interested in watching multiple streams, be sure to pull them up. Speaking of multiple streams, the network has 4 live broadcasts right now across 3 different VR esports. It's really cool. You can check out multiple games, pull them all up. We would appreciate all of the support. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, because we're going to do this a lot more often. Just later tonight, we have Pavlov postseason finals and Dash League and their season finals. So a lot to look forward to, but also obviously only one more best of 5 left ahead of us. So we're going to take a brief break here. Before I give a quick shout out to VRML Con and remind you to pick up your tickets if you haven't already. VRML Con happening July 25th to the 27th, a 3-day bonanza hosted at Phoenix at the Media Experience Immersive Center at Arizona State University. That's a mouthful, Palador. But it is an excellent venue with a beautiful theater and a really cool space that we're going to build 2 stages on where you can play 16 teams qualifying through. Speaking of, the qualifiers starting June 27th to the 29th coming up. in just a few days, really, a couple of weeks away for you to practice, for you to buy your tickets, create your team. We're talking the Ignition Cup there is what we're playing now with $1,000 prizing on the line. And that's actually next weekend. So you're right. I'm getting ahead of myself, Wonder. We have next weekend is going to be the finale of this bracket of this Ignition Cup, where the winner will take away a portion of that $1,000 prize pool because, again, we're still in the Swiss bracket. We're going to qualify 8 teams through to Saturday next weekend and do this all over again. The single elimination bracket, everything. Once we finish that, then we have the qualifiers, which you will be able to enter into if you buy a ticket to VRMLCon. Those are June 27th to the 29th. And if you need to register now, registration going to be, I think, obviously close to that date, but it is only a couple of weeks away. So get your teams sorted, get set up for the online qualifiers, get ready for VRMLCon to meet all of your friends at Phoenix. It's going to be a great time. We really do appreciate everyone tuning in, hanging out, and enjoying the action, but we are going to take a break. So thanks for sticking around. Stick around for one more best of 5. Don't go anywhere.
Prepare to start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Match point.
VR Master League and Another Axiom are proud to introduce the Phoenix Driftball Invitational, Orion Drift's first ever on-stage tournament at VRMLCon 2025. For those attending the event, gather your team and enter for a chance to play on stage and compete for the $5,000 grand prize.
The format is simple. Phase 1 is an online open qualifier bracket where every team that enters will battle it out for a top seed. The top 16 teams from the qualifier will earn their spot on stage and move forward to compete at VRMLCon on July 27th.
The competition truly begins with the Phoenix phase, a single elimination bracket played in person across 2 different stages throughout the day. It all culminates in the Driftball Grand Finals, the closing act of the event, where only one champion can be crowned.
Want to throw your hat in the ring? Use the VRML Discords to find a team of fellow attendees and sign up using the form in the server. Just remember, all players must have tickets and be attending the event to sign up. Online players will not be eligible for the Phoenix stage.
VRMLCon 2025 is shaping up to be the event of a lifetime. Don't miss your chance for an unforgettable VR experience. Get your tickets and sign up for the Phoenix Invitational today.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here for our last and final round of the Ignition Cup Swiss bracket. It started with over 200 registered teams. It's ending with around 90, all playing for a chance at 1,000 in cash and a weekend on Saturday where they're going to play again in a single elimination bracket. So a lot left ahead of us, honestly, Palador, but it's the last game of the weekend for us.
Yeah, that's right. And a spectacular game I expect this one to be, because we got Sunshine and Ivy, the only two remaining teams. Again, we started with 200, had a couple Hunger Games and culled it down to below 100 a little bit. But nonetheless, out of a tremendous amount of teams, we only have two left who are undefeated. And that's the ones on this stream right now. Sunshine, who we just witnessed in a amazing match, round 5 overtime victory against Valiance just moments ago, and now going against this Ivy NA team who also closed out our stream yesterday in day 1, 6-0 in their own right. Even the point differential, Nightfire, 55 to 53. These teams are neck and neck on the brackets.
Yeah, Ivy NA beating Secret 3-0. So that's something to keep in mind. We just watched Secret play in their first game on High Voltage and beat High Voltage, and they were looking good. So Ivy obviously locked in. They are a team to beat this afternoon, and I feel like Sunshine are maybe kind of like slowly climbing the ladder of skilled teams, you know, getting up to better and better squads. It took them to the best of 5 to win that last one, and I got to wonder if they've got what it takes to beat Ivy NA here today. And this could, again, Pally, be a look into the future. This could be a match we see next Saturday when we get into that single elimination bracket.
Absolutely. And, you know, what I'm wondering, too, is I don't know how it's been going with Ivy, besides the fact that they've been winning in day 2, but I don't know how the context of their matches were. I just know for Sunshine, who, again, we mentioned the stellar match they got out of, but they went a full 5 rounds, okay? So they just went 25 minutes plus a very extended overtime there at the end. So they just expended themselves a lot. It wasn't a slow-paced game either. I mean, the amount of movement we were seeing was just, it's all over the place. It got intense there. I'm just wondering if these guys have had enough time to grab some water and cool down a little bit before they just go right back into the thick of things against this top-rated team in Ivy as well.
Yeah, it's coming up on 2 hours of being in the headset, you know, and that's going to wear down on you physically, mentally. You got to, like you said, hydrate, make sure you're stretching, keeping your arms loose. There's the movement mechanic in this game isn't free. It's not a thumbstick. It is physical. You know, it's very different than a lot of other VR games in that regard or actually any real VR esport. I can't think of one that maybe is as physical as this game, all things considered, Palador.
Yeah, absolutely. The physicality of this game is just incredible. I mean, I've experienced it myself there as we do go into, it looks like the opening round. Oh, no, not quite yet. My mistake. But yeah, just going into this game for the first time about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and experiencing that after my experience with other VR games, including Echo, obviously, back in the day. But I will say this game tires me out. It would tire me out probably twice as fast, if not 3 times as fast as Echo, where Echo was already exhausting. But I think all the extra arm movements that go into this game, just in terms of being able to move across the floor, all the jukes that are happening, it really takes even all the more energy out of you. And so I always used to say in tournaments past, you know, for Echo about the battle of attrition, but I think it's even more so here in Orion Drift. You got to be spry, you got to be young. Therefore, I'm casting and not playing, but you know, you have to have the energy to go the full distance here.
Yeah, and speaking of energy, I wonder if they've got battery in their headset. They're still missing a player or two on both sides for us to dive into our first game, Sunshine, or our last game, rather, Sunshine versus Ivy NA. But a reminder that we do have multiple streams live this afternoon. So if you do want to catch action, you can head over to the VRML Network YouTube channel that you're already on, technically. Go to the live stream section and check out Gibbular Bob hosting another matchup as well. At the end of the day, 8 teams come out on top, so we're certainly going to see 2 play that are undefeated, but it's not the only teams that are going to make it through off of this Swiss bracket. There's going to be 6 other teams that qualify their way in to the single elimination tournament on Saturday. And again, something to really keep the eyes out for is who's going to be that top squad, who's going to be that squad that we may see again in that finals position.
Right, and well, speaking to that, so obviously for the NA side of things, tourney so big that we had to do it for 2 weekends there, but we did actually see the conclusion of our matches for day 2 of EU and OCE. Phenomenal cast, some phenomenal matches, including some very extended overtimes, both in EU and OCE. We got a couple of 5-minute OTs in those regions as well. Really long ones there. But we saw ultimately, well, spoiler alert for those watching, I'll give you like a few seconds of mutiny or something, or say la la la. But Outlaws over in the outback of OCE took it away for their region, and over in EU it was actually Ivy. So we're seeing Ivy on our stream here for NA, but also Ivy EU. They did some work to win back-to-back Pioneer Cup, and now just as well the Ignition Cup.
Yeah, we are still waiting on teams to get in lobby for us to dive into this game. But a reminder that, again, that other stream is live right now. I can see Bob flying around in the arena commentating. So do go check out that other networks, the other stream on the VRML Network, as we do just patiently wait for all the players to jump into lobby, and then for us to get into our first round of our last best of 5 of the Ignition Cup sweeps bracket for NA. I think we're going to take a quick little break, give our voices a rest, because boy, do they need them. And when we come back, it'll be the start of round 1, so don't go anywhere.
Not just a prank, bro. Well, we came back in. Knight decided to go off, and well, I'm here alone with you. So let's chat, and wait on Knight to show back up. Sorry. Anyway, we are back here with a Sunshine Cup, and there is Nightfire rejoining us for a second. Our bad, Knight. We should have checked with you before we got back on stream.
Maybe.
But welcome back to the cast there. The players had just got in the arena basically right as we went to the intermission. So we got a full 8 now back in the arena. Although one just exited again. So pranks on us, I guess.
Could have probably had a couple of minutes, and then we could have jumped in, but it's okay. They are getting into lobby soon. And yeah, we should be getting into the action, as again, I thought we would have a little breather. It seems we do, and we're just waiting for these teams to get going and start up round number 1. Not sure what the holdup is specifically, as we
normally they're so antsy to start before we even give a go-ahead, and this time, though, I think actually the same thing happened yesterday, as I recall, in that Ignite Ivy matchup, right? They wanted to build the anticipation a little bit, build the story. So, I can appreciate that, players. I see what you're probably not thinking, but I'm just going to imagine you are. Here we go. All right, into the midfield on this neutral jump ball. About ready to begin.
Definitely don't need the anticipation after 2 full days of Orion drift, but certainly excited as we do get into things onto the corner field. Little push up from Corpus, looking for some sort of advancement up on through that top field. It gets past Piggles, a nice little bit of juking, and Green Pigeon finds an open goal out the gate. Sunshine in the lead.
Well, I guess that answers that question. Sunshine, we saw that from them at least in a couple of the rounds there in their last match versus Valiant. The score within 10 seconds or so. Nicely done. They were very quick to react and punish those defenses off those neutral jump balls.
Yeah, IVNA now going on the attack, but a big intercept from King Icy, scooping that one up, clearing it all the way downfield into the corner. Going to go right into the hands back of the IVNA offense, though, as Nadas going to try and work something up through the midfield. Gets tackled on the back line and intercepted for Corpus, and now go back onto the attack.
And a high lob to Sweet Tooth, the hero there in the overtime of round 5 last match, but coming back into this one, have to reset the mindset, but at the same time carry the momentum from the last match, as Nadash just dribbling with the ball, trying to send it to Piggles, but Pig was covered by a couple of players there from the defense of Sunshine. Still yet maintaining possession. There's Mozzie trying to duck under Corpus, but still slapping it away as Pigeon will overtake. Now Pigeon from the sky trying to take a bounce and get the ball, but surrenders it to Nadash instead. Skating by, carving around the bridge. It's going to be a 1-on-2 and no rebound to be had. Corpus ejects it to the midfield.
Nice little clear all the way down to the other side of the zone, and they need to get it out of there quickly. They don't want to allow this offense to set up just out in front of their goal, as Yuki does push it out to a bad intercept, a big intercept, but Green Pigeon can't find the goal. Nadash swats it away.
And sailing right towards that entry point of the arena, as Sweet Tooth will try to look for an entry point into the defense. Not working out, though. Green Pigeon intercepted. Taken back into the midfield. A lot of these passes laterally across both sides of the arena, as Nadash just struggles with that read on that ball. Takes a funny bounce off the bridge and now goes high up there as Mozzie looks to send it towards Pig. Piggle's now on the floor, moving it up. King trying to disrupt with some tackles. Yuki as well getting tackled by Green Pigeon, but Nadash slipping away from the defense. Diving in again on a pair of defenders. There's Mozzie. Mozzie, no. Too low and then high on the bounce as they eject it back towards the midfield. Once again, still just a 1-0 game.
Yeah, an interesting toss back, but then no tackle in the front. You know, if you're going to throw the ball back behind you, then you got to be that front line to get rid of the defenders that are waiting to swat the ball away. And just like that, an open goal shot finds its way in. Sunshine put 2 on the board. I felt like IV were going to come out strong on this one, Pally, but instead it's Sunshine off of a 5-game series taking the 2-0 lead.
Yeah, they're working hard for their points, but they got it indeed. Still looking good and no doubt confident. Both these teams undefeated. That's a deep, deep fling, nearly hitting its mark. Taken by Pickles, however, off of that narrow miss. Kings is there to try and intercept, cause some interference. Does so successfully, at least making it bothersome and difficult to get into the midfield for Ivy, but Nadash will come away with it, checking behind and now checking up front. They've got that pass to Mozzie cutting. They've gone to that well a few times, and well done from Sweet Tooth. A beautiful save.
Absolutely huge save as Green Pigeon. Whoa, this one might go in. No, just a little high.
Nadash now sending it right by to Mozzie from below that bridge, approaching on that goal. Back to Nadash, and they're trying to look for those resets, the passing plays to get on that scoreboard to break this scoreless ice if they can. A deep fling to Mozzie, just waiting for that ball to come towards them. Once again, back towards the front, and just returning the favor to Corpus. A few intercepts in a row between these teams as Nadash tackles them out. Mozzie will receive that in the goal area and bring it to Bridge for this approach. That ball's been stuck on that particular end of the floor for quite a bit. Not really getting past that midline until just now.
Yeah, and now Sunshine on the defense. IVNA looking to set something up with the pass to the midfield, but there's the duo, Green Pigeon and King. Corpus, pushing away and scooping up the ball. What a juke pass, too. They can't get the shot on goal, though.
Yeah, got the attempt, and this clock now running down to those final 30 seconds or so. So a solid victory perhaps in line here for Sunshine if they can keep this up for a few more. But that's going to be right back into that side wall. Piggles is there to overtake. Piggles dribbling, carving around the defense, but gets poked right back into the sewer, thrown into it as Yuki sends one to Mozzie. Mozzie, the recipient of a lot of these cut passes, will send one to Nadash, but couldn't handle the ball. Another one attempted, another one, and again. No, and yes, finally they get the result at the very end of this clock just about.
They had to stack everyone up at the goal and just keep slamming it in, trying to get it through. But a big intercept gets picked up and doesn't really matter because, well, round ends. Timer ticks down, and Sunshine kind of cleanly run away with round 1, 2-0.
2-1 there at the very end.
You're right.
But 2-0 for basically 90% of that matchup. I mean, that was, again, I had questions just, again, coming from that last match of how Sunshine would be energy-wise after some exhausting 5-round overtimes. But and again, knowing what IVNA did as well, successful matches yesterday against Ignite to close the stream, looking impressive, both undefeated. Sunshine answered that question quickly, though. I mean, not a high-scoring game, but just, again, high intensity. They were well under control. We're going to this next round now soon, though, to see what it provides. Again, we're getting some great games here across the regions. I'm hyped for the remainder of it.
No, not a high-scoring game is the important thing to point out, too, I think, right? Because, again, a 2-1 score, no one pushing up 5-6 points, getting close to any sort of mercy, anything like that. It's very back and forth and close. And in 5 minutes, anything can happen as we dive into round 2 in another 5 minutes.
Here we go, the jump ball, or the jump balls rather, a lot of them here as players go vertical for that ball. Kingsley receiving that, sending it to Green Pigeon, well read, like a book from Yuki. Yuki trying to locate that ball right below and sends it midways as it bounces towards that bridge. Has some options there, Sweet Tooth with a second to spare, right past Nadash though. And that ball will be knocked loose briefly. Sweet Tooth, though, the great handles to keep control of the ball, at least for a moment. Sends it towards that bridge line and over to that defensive line. Corpus overtakes it. Oh, loses the ball. Gets juked by the ball, in fact, as Pickles brings it up the floor for an attack. There it is, and there it goes. No go on that first attempt there. Denied once, maybe twice. Nadash to Yuki. Oh, they keep on going, but they will not score just yet. A lot of effort there for no results, Knight.
Yeah. That one's maybe, those hurt the most maybe when you do get everyone stacked up in front of a goal. You get the multi-pass set up. You get everyone there to make that goal, but then can't get it through that defensive wall. A little bit frustrating for sure, but they've recollected. They've got the offensive pressure going again. Nadash tries for another shot. No, a pass to Piggles, who follows it up with a shot to the top corner. And their point on the board, IVNA in the lead.
Yeah, Piggles slipping by there. A lot of those cutting passes in the first round were going to Mozzie, but Mozzie ended up being covered several of those times. So this time opting for a Piggles pass, who was pleasantly more open for the Ivy team. So finally breaking their scoring ice there after a round and a half of play, getting on the board and taking that early lead. Sweet Tooth now trying to rebuttal, but shuffles it right to Nadash, slaps it out of there, and tremendous goalie in his own right, and we've seen many of them this weekend.
Yeah. Really good save there. Those have been the main staple of a team that's going to win this Ignition Cup, I think, is going to be who has the better goalie, who's got the best defensive setup. We'll see who it is soon enough next weekend. For now, we have round 7 of the Swiss bracket unfolding, and both teams undefeated so far today.
All right, there was a Pigeon and Piggles initially tackling each other. Kingsley now receiving that, sending it to Sweet Tooth at the back, but well covered by Piggles defensively. Corpus overtakes control of the ball. Sweet Tooth is still on that backboard area. Mozzie, however, intercepts following the tackles from their teammates. So Mozzie will weave around the top of the arena here, sending it back softly over to Yuki and Nadash. Nadash couldn't keep control of the ball, but Piggles is there, actually flies over the hands as well. So Kingsley scurrying for that ball, shuffling towards that goal. Mozzie from the ceiling will slap it immediately to a Green Pigeon intercept from overhead and back to the bottom. Sweet Tooth just trying to find something, make the offense work. But a lot of herky-jerky gameplay here as it goes back and forth outside that goal.
Yeah, they're just trying to draw the defense out so that they have less than 2-3 defenders behind the goal and an opportunity to put one in as Corpus scoop up a beautiful intercept, trying to work past the defense, but from the back line, from the midfield, comes some tackles that disrupt the flow of things. And Sunshine not able to really get one on the board for what has been now maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes of gameplay between these two rounds.
Yeah, and Nadash now slapping it right below. It actually takes a roll into the sewer. Then coming out of that is Green Pigeon. Pigeon being met by Yuki. A pass attempted there to Mozzie and Nadash. Nadash will be the one to receive, sending it deep on an underhanded fling. That looks pretty good, but Sweet Tooth is there to recover as the ball slowed down off of those bounces. And Sweet Tooth sending it the opposite end of the floor to Corpus, who is covered just a little bit. Trying to lead the pass to Kingsley was almost on point. That could have been a great opportunity at a goal. It was exposed at the time, but not going to work out for them quite yet.
Battle for ball control in the corner of the zone of IVNA. Not exactly where you want things to be going down if you're IVNA with a 1-point lead. Sunshine tied things up here with 55 seconds left. Round number 2 seemingly opening up and getting a little more interesting.
And boy, oh boy, these teams are having to work so hard for every single point that they're scoring here, which is to say only a couple of them. That said, Nadash, an underarm fling could not ring true. Yuki returning to the center. Back to Nadash behind the back. Too high. A third attempt from Yuki. No good. A fourth attempt. A fifth. Fifth time is the charm late in this round.
They just couldn't get that defense out and away from the backboard. And yeah, a lot of rebound shot attempts. Ultimately, one finally goes in, and the clock ticks down. 15 seconds left. 1 point separating us from a guaranteed 4 rounds. As Green Pigeon does intercept that, passes it over to the midfield. Sweet Tooth tries to take the slap shot cross, but it goes wide.
And that clock is just about out as soon as it touches the ground, so trying to keep it alive if they can, but a slap to the bottom will undo that as it also goes into the goal. So with that, IVNA does secure themselves that round win after going down 1. That's a Sunshine in that first. Both narrow games, but just an inverse of each other. Round 1, 2-1, and then round 2, 1-2. So really, really even matchup. We can see why these teams were the only undefeated teams left here in NA.
Hard fought and deserved for sure. This battle between these two undefeated giants has been everything I hoped it would be, but honestly, not seeing a lot of like really huge. There are some defensive saves, but I just feel like a lot of the action, a lot of the aggression is happening more so out in front of the goal. You're seeing tackles, you're seeing more of a coordinated defensive effort as like to form a square, a triangle, whatever they can to be able to really enhance that front of the line defense outside of the goal, and it's working out obviously well enough. We're keeping things close here, with 2 points being the most that's scored between our first 2 rounds.
Yeah, so that battle of attrition is ringing true here, and these teams now on a mission to be in the clear in this round. A very decisive, potentially anchoring type of round when you're tied up in a series. Just getting that advantage is so important in this game. So really we'll see how this first score goes and setting the tone. Nadash trying to do just that. A nice, clever bounce off. Oh, a handoff. Oh, beautiful play. The highlight denied, but now supplied on a rebound. Piggles, I believe that was there to recover.
Yeah, IVNA are starting to get a little bit of that momentum we talked about going. Once they start to get that going, they become a dangerous team. And with a map win and now an early lead, they are in a comfortable position here, regaining ball control and going back on the attack with a clear down into the zone. Mozzie looking to set something up. The pass to Yuki, and a little bit of a fumble Ruski, as Yuki can't quite find that one into the goal.
Yeah, crashing into each other, those teammates, it seemed. Nadash, though, the straight down pass, and how does it go in? It rolls so slowly, but no one there to stop it, Knight.
That's tough, watching that one get out of your reach, roll behind you, and a good effort, again, from the offense of IVNA as they lock it in here in these later rounds. Weren't really awake when Sunshine opened it up 2-0 on round 1, but maybe they've warmed up. Rounds 2 and 3 looking a little bit more consistent between the two, between the IV squad.
Yeah, looking like it. And so at the moment, this Sunshine crew just trying to keep it out of their danger zone, out of that goal zone, get some offense going if they can. But as we see, that ball is really tending to stick on this side, no matter how many of these intercepts they get. So really just struggling to find their offense at the moment. As another near intercept there. Piggles trying to cause some trouble. Sweet Tooth, oh wow, that was an on-target fling potentially had it not been from the goalkeeper. And likewise, that's going to be a deep one a little wide. Pigeon's there to recover now. Met by a pair of defenders. A deep pass, but there's Piggles again. Sweet Tooth playing jack-in-the-box. Pops goes the Weasel to dislodge that ball, send it into the midfield. And Nadash with the ball right back at him again. Back and forth. But really no offense yet for Sunshine or ball control really on this black side of the floor here until maybe just now. No.
Trying to get aggressive, but I feel like maybe it's the IVNA defense that's come alive after they let those two go through. They really just have not enabled any sort of setup, whether it's the man-on-man defense going for those early tackles, stopping the cross passes from coming through, picking those, getting the intercepts, or ultimately just being in the face of whoever is holding the ball on the side of Sunshine. It's IVNA really in control here as Nadash with a big intercept and a shot on goal for another point.
Nadash again, a great recognition of where to place that ball. Not just straight in, but off the bounces. And Nadash has favored some of those shots here throughout the day. A lot of these bouncers and going for the kind of those angular shots as opposed to the B-lines. It's really been providing a lot of extra points and opportunities for their team as well on the passes and just beautiful ball control as well as awareness of just where to put it.
King Icy looking for the cross pass up through the middle there, though, but it gets cleared out into the midfield. Sweet Tooth with a nice ceiling carve. Redirects. Tries to clear back to Corpus, looking to get their team onto the offense, but they can't get anything set up. And the IVNA, again, just keep the ball over here in the zone of Sunshine. Another point piled on. They're close to a mercy here in round 2 in our last round of the Swiss bracket.
Yeah, a crazy turnaround here. The momentum firmly in the way of Ivy, really shutting out Sunshine completely, putting some clouds in those skies. Green Pigeon trying to fly through them right now to make something happen. Could not do so at that juncture. The ball being set sail, and that's Corpus. Finally mails it in after 4 minutes without a score there. Finally getting one on the board, but will it be a bit too late here with only a minute left, looks like?
Yeah, it might be. It might not. And anything can happen in pretty quick succession in this game. So as long as they don't take too much time, as Mozzie sits there waiting for the setup, pass it out to Nadash. Nadash just going to take it home. No, goes to the top of the line past to Piggles, but Piggles is a little bit farther than they were anticipating. Back for the panic cross pass, and Sweet Tooth there on defense to intercept it. Yuki finds the clear out, and a nice pass to their teammate Mozzie for another point from IVNA. They're not letting Sunshine really get any momentum.
Yeah, not whatsoever, and that's exactly what you need to do. That killer instinct here. Again, we witness Ivy as a franchise, right? That killer instinct we've seen from the EU side of things to get the job done earlier and adopting the same kind of intensity, that aggression, the physicality. Obviously, a priority here of this Ivy squad. Not just defensively, but offensively too. Just really not giving up anything on either end of the floor. They're looking very cohesive today.
What a match!
Locking in their second round, IVNA take the lead in this best of 5 2-0, and I agree, Palador. It is the Ivy franchise performing as we expect them to, quite frankly, at this point. Starting to establish their name as a team and a brand that's going to play well if you go up against them in a VR esport, quite frankly. Any one of them, you name it, Breachers, Vale, Pavlov, wherever they are, they're a threat. And here in Orion Drift, whether it's on EU or NA, they are a powerful team, leading 2-1 in this best of 5, a near mercy, quite frankly, in round 3. It sets them up wonderfully for the 4th round, momentum-wise.
Yeah, and I would be concerned if I was Sunshine because they started that first round with a win 2-1. But if you look at the scores since then, these last couple rounds, the scoring output from Sunshine has only decreased. The scoring output from Ivy has only increased. 1 point, 2 points, and then 5 strong points in that round. So that is definitely a point of concern for Sunshine to be aware of, because to give up to make less points and to give up more points is just, it's a tough position to be in, and seeing if they can just get it together now and fix that momentum here in the opening minute.
Seemed, yeah, I think the opening minute is the right idea there, Pally. It seemed to me that when they won, they really cracked the shell early and then kept putting points on the board. But if IV does it, it might be worse for Sunshine. Yeah, it's even worse news, because that's what Sunshine need to do, not what not what they need IV to do. And IV now in a very good spot, winning rounds 2 and 3, and in the lead here in round 4.
But the good news is here, Sunshine does have some offensive setups at play, although just a throwaway there on the pass could not hit Kingsley. Will be able to get that for a second. Nadash, though, able to send it out to Sweet Tooth on the recovery. Sweet Tooth passing it over to Piggles. A turnover there, right over to Mozzie. Quick pass, a shovel where it's intercepted by Corpus, redirecting around the ceiling, but overtaken by Yuki down to the sewers. And coming out of it is a nice shove there. For a moment, goes high, and Green Pigeon there to save it. Piggles on the assault. Midfield play again, and Nadash will get on the offense for Ivy once more here.
Yep, a nice little swat down again, pushing up for more points. Ivy, a constant pressure onto the defensive Sunshine as Nadash one up. Tries to push through the side field there, and ooh, a nice little intercept from Corpus. Gonna get things set up for Sunshine. And again, if they can get this push going, if they can get some momentum here, they're still in this one by a large margin. They've still got that early point lead that they've scooped up in round 1, and now only 1 point to go to tie this up in round 4.
There you go, a setup play from Sweet Tooth to that Green Pigeon, and that was Green in the money. You love to see that type of team play to get them their first score here.
It's the multi-passes, Pally. It's the back and forth. It's that coordination that comes together and shines at the high tiers. Mozzie's just going to get a free entry. Sweet Tooth is there, but the tackle would have completely ruined what was otherwise a very nonchalant defender in goal, as Piggles gets the cross, the clear, goes for the shot on goal, and another swat away from Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, well, even with Mozzie in the grill trying to disrupt and tackle, Sweet Tooth still managing to get the save and keep that defensive focus. Can they translate it to offense is the question. Oh no, an open goal, and those will kill the momentum of a team. A wonderful capitalization, though, from the Ivy crew. Just cause a turnover, immediately recognize that briefly open window.
A nice tackle from Nada. Stops that first pass out the front line, and Mozzie with an intercept. Going for the goal. Green Pigeon on the back line. Swats it away. Not going to allow anything through too easily after that last point scored. And now, again, the pressure starts to get a little bit more and more. Sunshine and their hopes of being undefeated get closer and closer to being dashed away as long shots and clears like that get close to putting the nail in the coffin.
This does allow an opportunity for the dribble up the floor there. Sweet Tooth, takes a bounce off the bridge. Might have been a fortunate thing, actually, because the goalies had retreated into the goal. It might have been a turnover at that point. Will be maintained here by Corpus and crew. Corpus sailing, sending. Green Pigeon being met by Mozzie and Nadash outside that goal. Kingsley delivering to Sweet Tooth from up high. Carves around, creates the space. Sweet Tooth, a perfectly placed pass in a lot of traffic converging there on the offense. Now turning into the orange side of the floor. Sweet Tooth chasing it down. And just taps the ball away there, but will be picked up and almost sent into the goal as Piggles will contest Corpus. Yuki taking it away. A good pass over towards Mozzie, but couldn't handle the ball there as it gets sent back to Piggles. Piggles now the punch, the tackle, and right back to the left lane. No one quite there, but at least in the zone was Nadash.
Yeah, and I got to wonder if passes like that are prompted by callouts from their teammate. Like, I'm going to be here, and then they try and do it as a prediction. But we just don't quite hear that. Either way, the pass does go wide. It transfers possession into Sunshine. And when they only need one more point with 45 seconds left, they're not the team you want to have ball control.
Yeah, and for Sunshine's side of things, if they do get this ball back here, needing to really take care of that ball, maintain control, find those passing plays, because if they get too engaged in these big, long clears that get intercepted, that clock is going to expire on them before they have time for a comeback. So there's that first pass, that entry pass into the midfield. But Sweet Tooth losing the handles there, putting the hands on the head. And my goodness, it's Green Pigeon there swooping in to perhaps keep them alive. 15 seconds left, trying to undo the mistake and take it into a midfield clear here into the one more chance at offense night.
One more chance. You can't afford retreats. You can't afford intercepts. You can't afford fumbles or another point on the board as that one goes in by King Icy, taking it through. It's a self-goal, but the timer was over too, and it's IVNA with 3 in a row. Palador taking the victory and staying undefeated in our Ignition Cup.
And at this point, because we know how good Sunshine is, we saw them battle it out yesterday. We saw them battle it out today. And Ivy, of course, we've seen how good they are as well in their battles against other top-seeded teams across the day. Both undefeated for a reason, but I'm seeing maybe a little bit of tiredness on Sunshine's side, just in terms of, again, those late-game moments. Trying to execute those plays with just a few too many unforced errors and turnovers and what have you, and kind of uncharacteristic of what they would be at full energy. But I think maybe that again, endurance factor creeping up perhaps a little bit. So they kind of need to plug in here for this potentially last round and keep themselves alive. They can do it, but it'll be tough.
Yeah, will be tough. We've got a couple of other games getting played right now, so if you do want to check those out, you can. But I think this is pretty much it for us here on the day. The Swiss bracket ends with this last round, and like we've talked about, we go to the single elimination bracket next weekend on Saturday. So do be sure to stop back into the VRML Network. Means you should hit the sub button and the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel so you can come back and know when we've got more content live right here on the VRML Network. Later today, we've got more content. Just in a couple of minutes, Pavlov comes out with their championship, and then we also have Dash League finals. But I guess before we go, also, I want to shout out VRMLCon one more time. If you don't have your tickets, pick them up. Go to vrmlcon.com/VR or vrmasterleague.com/vrmlcon or vrmlcon.com to get all of the details you need to register your team to buy tickets for what is $20,000 in cash, split across 4 tournaments, with a 5th tournament for Onward as a celebratory event. All of that possible because of the sponsors. Another Axiom supporting us, giving $5,000 to the cash prize pool to the winner of VRMLCon. The way you get to VRMLCon, if you watch the ad, is that you buy a ticket, you register for the Phoenix Invitational, June 27th to the 29th, and then you play. You qualify. One of 16 teams gets to go to VRMLCon at Phoenix Invitational and play for that $5K in cash prizing. I imagine there's going to be teams like IV Pally that are establishing their franchise now that may be playing across multiple games at VRMLCon.
You know, I heard, and just rumors, allegedly, I heard in chat earlier someone mentioning that Ivy might be coming, or was that Finto? I can't even remember now. Someone was mentioning earlier that there's a potential to see some EU folks show up. We don't know for sure. I'd love it if that's the case, because it's not so often that we get to see those cross-region LAN games being played, because there's always, chatter from both sides of regions on who's more dominant, which teams are better if there's no ping involved. And so if any teams from our other regions can make it out, I would encourage it for sure. Looking forward to it, Knight. Also, can I just say real quick, I'm gonna call myself out a little. It's funny, I'm talking about the endurance and keeping the head and things like that. I won't lie, I totally thought we had one more round of this game when I was talking about that shit earlier. So you know what, they got tired of the overtimes earlier, and they're like looking a little exhausted. Apparently I am too, because I can't even read anymore. But
it's hard.
Anyway.
It's hard to keep track, Pally. We've had a lot of games this weekend. It has been a lot of OD. Check out all of the VODs, because there's a lot of them. Multiple streams, multiple finals. OCE and EU are done. So if you want to catch those final streams, check them out on the VODs. They're really good broadcasts. We were really happy with the quality and content of those matches too. If you need more OD in your life, and I think you probably do. If you do, come back next Saturday, because that's when we're going to have more of this NA bracket. But for now, we are going to sign off of the VRML Network here for the Ignition Cup. My name has been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Palador, and my cameraman Wonder T-Man, all coming together to provide you this beautiful content. We appreciate you all sticking by, hanging out. Hit the sub button, like button. Until next time, stay classy. Orion Drift VRML is brought to you by Another Axiom, Helga, the esports manager. Thanks for watching VRML.